All right, welcome back, everybody. Looks like we got some more people in the audience as well. So this is Hello Drupal 10, Part 2, live from DrupalCamp, Colorado, 2023, the fabulous King Center in Denver. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. We just wrapped up Part 1. And in Part 1, don't feel bad if you miss anything. It was just an introduction to Drupal 10, basic terms, history, how to get started with hosting. And today, right now, we're going to really jump into just some fun Drupal stuff and things you can accomplish and look like a professional Drupal developer. Our agenda, we just finished up Part 1, intro for beginners, finished up a quick break. And this is Part 2. All skill levels are welcome. And tonight, if you're not aware, the Acquia party will be at Improper City. There's the address. And any questions, feel free to say hi there. Little map from King Center to there. I believe it's about 2 miles to the Acquia party at Improper City. So hello, Drupal 10, Part 2 agenda. What are we going to take away from the next 45 minutes or so? 45 modules in 45 minutes that already work in Drupal 10. Well, just to get people caught up, say you want to install these modules on your site, you can go to platform.sh. You can create a free Drupal 10 site. It's for up to 30-day free trial. Interesting, which cloud are they in? You can pick which cloud. You can deploy your platform SH in AWS, Google, Azure. And they do a lot more than Drupal. You can even launch a Go or a Django project if you're like. But for now, you can install Drupal 10 Platform SH. Or just real quick, you can go to simplytest.me. That's a free temporary way to spin up Drupal sites and test modules that will be deleted after 24 hours. Again, the browser is always simplytest.me. You can type in Drupal core or any kind of module you would like. It'll spin it up for you in a couple of minutes so you can test it out without committing. Because how much does Drupal cost? Drupal is free, but if you're going to go module shopping, it's going to cost you your time. And you might find 2 or 3 modules that are similar, and only one accomplishes the specific use case you need. So try before you buy. I'm not getting paid by anybody to do any kind of advertisements, but Pantheon is probably my favorite. If you're going to install Drupal, if you'd like to follow along, you can go to pantheon.io, register for a free Drupal site. And once you have that, you can add all these modules I'm going to go on and talk about. Again, real quick, dashboard.pantheon.io/register. We'll get you there real quick. If you get into the dashboard, you can click Create New Sites, select Drupal 10, follow the installation steps. Might ask you to have a name. I just went with D10 Training Denver. It can be whatever you'd like. And once you're in here, you can apply updates. You can use Git to update your and add modules. But if you're an old school Drupal 7 type, you want to do FTP, you can just click this button to switch it into SFTP. This button for connection information will give you the FTP server, FTP username and password. You can log in there and add your modules that way. Or you can go straight into Drupal, its user interface, and turn on the update manager to add modules there. Some modules that are now in core. Maybe if in the previous projects you've worked on, Drupal 7, 8, 9, you've probably added the date module. Well, you no longer need to add the date module to add date fields to your content types. It just comes with Drupal core. Same with email field. If you want to add an email field to a content type, you no longer need to add a module. You just add enable the core module. Same with link fields. If you want to have links to pages on your content types. Video embed field was a really popular module. Say you wanted to embed a YouTube or a Vimeo link and all you had was the URL, but you wanted the video to appear. You no longer have to download a module. That just built right into the media module in Drupal. And of course, Views is now in Drupal. You no longer have to download Views as a separate module. It is part of core. Core is what we call default Drupal. So we're going to go through this kind of in order of modules that I add on every single one of my sites. I install Drupal. What do I do first? I install the admin toolbar. That is when you're going through and you're talking about this content, structure, appearance, extend. When you hover over these, you get extra things that pop up. And it's going to give you a lot more options. So rather than having to click configuration to get to people settings, you can install this admin toolbar that will hover over and make your life easier. And this is just a basic module page. You'll see a lot of these. Who are these maintainers? Who built it? But this part I added up here in the corner is the Drupal status. Is it green? Green means stable. When was the last update? And does it work for Drupal 10? The fact that I'm talking about it in this presentation means I've actually gone out there. This works in Drupal 10. You can see admin toolbar is there. This is the first thing you should probably install on every single site. Another module, the shield module. This gets overlooked a lot. Let's say you're working on a development project and you don't want outside eyes to see it. Outside of Drupal, this might be termed like HT access or HT password. You just want a quick username and password to pop up before people can see your website. Turn on the shield. And one of my customers said, put up the shield. Hey, I went to the development site and the shield wasn't up. Why isn't somebody put the shield up? And you turn the module on, you configuration options. What do you want the username and password to be? If you don't want to use the shield module, platforms such as Pantheon also do have that. So when you go into your Pantheon dashboard, you can actually set up a password protection thing as well. Shield accomplishes the same goal. Token. You're not going to get very far without adding more modules in Drupal without adding the token module. That's why I like to add it as one of the very first things. But it does all sorts of fun functionality. You may see a token, a word with a bracket that says site name. In the example I've been using, South Park Township, you don't always have to put South Park Township everywhere. You can just put the token site name or site user. Those are tokens that can be replenished. Things like when you're doing the Path Auto module that will create URLs for you. So when you create and edit nodes, you can, if you're creating your homepage and you create southpark.com/home, you can manually define that, but you can also have a module called Path Auto that will figure out the URL for you, create it for you, and then can also use tokens. So maybe you're using Path Auto to create blogs and you want your URL path for your blogs to be southparktownship.com/blog/year/month. Those are all tokens, and it will know to put 2023 July. Devel. If you're going to build a website, this is one of the first modules. Again, turn it on. It will tell you all sorts of fun statistical things about your site while you're building it. And one of the biggest features I like to use in the Devel module is Devel Generate. So say you're building out a bunch of websites and you have your views, but you have no idea what they're going to look like until you have them filled out with a bunch of content. You can tell Devel Generate to go through and create hundreds of nodes of a specific content type, create hundreds of fake users, create fake images, and now it'll even work with OpenAI so that your Devel Generate will create fake content that actually has the tone of your website based off of AI. That's more of the future, but I recommend it. Okay, so we talked about revisions in Drupal core and how you can have your home page might have 10 different revisions over the course of many years, and somebody new broke the home page and you want to revert back to a different version. That's built in the Drupal core, but this diff module actually lets you see the differences between the content. Maybe it's not easy to figure out what the change was or the difference. The diff module does this visually for you. Masquerade. For some reason, this is one of the only modules I'm going to talk about that is not listed as a stable module. You'll see that it's not green, it's red, it's a release candidate, but I can tell you it works. And the Masquerade module allows you to log into your website as users to see what the website would be as them. So say you have hundreds of users and multiple content roles, and you made changes very specific to that editor role. Maybe the bloggers or the content editing has changed, but you want to see what it looks like from their point of view, and you don't know their passwords, and you don't want to ask for their passwords. We can turn on the Masquerade module and type in any user on your system, and you will see the site as them from their experience. Going along with that, this other module, Simple EI, which stands for Simple Environment Indicator. Say you do have a Pantheon set up with dev, staging, production. You can install this module so that we'll know and highlight at the top with a color It's like, this is your dev site. This is your production site. Because I can't tell you how many times you might sync back local and make a production update or change. And you want to see at the top, oh, this is yellow or red. Oh, I'm not actually looking at production. Oh, I'm still working on the dev site. Max length. So you can add this module on fields or your body. Maybe the body can only have 100 characters, but you want to add the little JavaScript, so maybe they go after the characters. It'll warn them, oh, you're 6 characters over, and it will erase them and move them back and forth. And this just helps your users create better content. Just a module that I put on pretty much every site, ready for Drupal 10. SEO checklist is a module that accomplishes essentially nothing but create a module checklist for SEO. I recommend you install it on every single site. Ben is a really good guy. He created this, and it works perfectly in Drupal 10, but all it really does is tell you all the other modules that you should download, enable, and configure for your website to be at the top of your SEO game, because there are a lot of SEO options. Going along with that, some of the modules that SEO checklist will talk about is one called Google Tag Manager. If you've ever used Google Analytics, Google Analytics is technically gone as of July 1st. If you have a Drupal 7, 8 site that runs Google Analytics, you might want to log in because your Google Analytics may not work anymore as of July 1st. You need to switch it to the Google Tag Manager. You can do a lot more than analytics. You can do tags and all sorts of things. Again, if you want to learn more about it, go to Google's website on Tag Manager and explain it. But in terms of Drupal 10, don't use the Google Analytics module. Use Google Tag, register your sites, and if you have any other sites, go back and change them as well. Meta tag is another SEO module. Say you want to add things like meta tags or keywords to your SEO, the description that search engine sees, the abstract, that's all brought in from the meta tag module. That works perfectly fine in Drupal 10. Enable it, and again, just lots of options there. Module you're going to install on every site. More SEO type stuff. XML sitemap. Let's say you have a lot of pages on your website, but you need a sitemap. You don't want to manually create a listing of all of the pages that are on your website. The XML sitemap will do that for you, and it even has options to configure certain pages that should be displayed or not displayed. Again, just another module that works in Drupal 10 that's going to be on pretty much every one of your sites. Font Awesome. Maybe you're one of those people that likes to use Font Awesome and their icon library. You have that service. Feel free to sign up for it and use it. And you just sign up, download the module, give it your API key, and boom, you can have your fonts and your icons working. Flag. For some reason, Flag is not stable. It's still a beta, but it is still working. A lot of people have used Flag for a lot of different things. You might not even need to use the flag module. You can use fields to flag things like a Boolean field, but flag comes with a lot of extra options that a lot of people use. And if you're going to be migrating or upgrading sites from 7, 8, 9, you're probably going to come across a lot of sites with the flag module. Fear not, it works in Drupal 10. Mass contact. Say you have a list of users on your website and you want to send an email. Say you had a DrupalCamp website with a list of registration and you needed to send out an email the day of the camp to all of the people. You can go to Mass Contact. That works in Drupal 10. Select your users and send out the email. Related to sending out email in Drupal, the SMTP module works in Drupal 10. And this works for more than just giving your Drupal website an SMTP gateway. Maybe you're using a third party for sending email like SendGrid or an analytical system that will deliver the emails for you, like an email campaigning system. You can use the credentials they give you from the SMTP information in the SMTP module. Lots of options, but again, works great in Drupal 10 already. What's a website without CAPTCHA? And of course, it works in Drupal 10. You're going to want to sign up for the CAPTCHA service, but you can enable it on your site, pop it in there, and CAPTCHA will work. Then you have options. Is it part of the user registration page? Is it part of comments? Lots of options there. If you have CAPTCHA, well, guess what? ReCAPTCHA works too. And if you want to take it to the next level and have it do things of show me pictures of pizza, or I get a lot of show me pictures of bicycles and show me pictures of buses. Again, sign up for your recap show. It works in Drupal 10. Paragraphs, getting to site building and how you structure your pages. If you're coming from a Drupal 8.9 site that is running in paragraphs, you got to migrate that structure into your new site. Fear not, it actually does work in Drupal 10. This is an interesting one. The group module is kind of a new initiative in the Drupal community. If you've ever heard of organic groups, that's been around for many years in Drupal. Organic groups is still around, but it doesn't have a stable release in Drupal 10. And what I've gathered from the community is that things and the initiatives and work and collaboration is going to this group module, which already has a stable module in Drupal 10. And if you're not familiar with organic groups and what group does, you can create groups of isolated content that members, groups and users can become members of. So you may have a job posting board. So different agencies can be a group. So job postings for the township, they can have their own group. They can make job postings to it, and users can be members of that group, and it can be public or private. But maybe you have a public job posting board, and that group is accessible to all users, and all the job postings that you post in there, everybody can see. So again, this is just interesting how Drupal changes over the years. Organic groups may go away. You may have a migration project where you already have thousands of organic group nodes and you need to get them into Drupal 10. Well, fear not. There are migration paths to go from organic groups into this new group module, and any Drupal developer should be able to figure that out for you. Here's a fun one. So for a long time, there was a module called print, and you could print printer-friendly pages, and you could add libraries to get it to print to PDF and print your nodes as PDFs. Well, Entity Print will do that, and it works in Drupal 10. It's going to rely on some DOM-related libraries to actually create the PDFs, but it works fairly well. You can create documentation in Drupal. You can print it out as a PDF. And let's consider print output. But what if we want input from PDFs? This is a fun one that's only available for Drupal 10. This is called Document OCR. So if we're going to use Entity Print to print Drupal content into PDFs, what if we want to have PDF content moved into Drupal? That's exactly what this Document OCR module will do. And OCR stands for Optical Character Recognition. If you read down here, not only will it scan your PDF and find things. So let's say we're going to scan an RFP that said something along the lines of due date. And we want, in our Drupal site, on our Drupal database, we have a field for due date. Well, we can have Document OCR, take our uploaded PDF, find things that are related to a date field or a due date, and recognize it, and then map it into the due date field in Drupal. Taking that even further, this module will work with AI, and you can use Google's AI to scan your PDF. So let's talk about accessibility. PDFs are horrible for accessibility. There might be a 50-page PDF with lots of information, but there's no tags or summary or anything about that PDF and searchable, indexable, or readable by search document readers. Well, Document OCR, AI, Google will read it all and then write up a summary for you and provide it as text. So again, this is something I think is going to be very popular. If you've ever used a job posting board like LinkedIn, you upload your PDF, it parses things like your name, your city, your job title, your experiences, it maps it all into fields. These days, you can essentially use these modules to build their Indeed replacement with Drupal 10. ECA, Event Condition Action. Maybe if you've worked with Drupal in previous versions, you might have used a system called rules, where you wanted actions to happen on things that depended on other things. So a lot of things I used rules for was like a a room reservation system at a university. You have all these available rooms. They're only available during certain dates and times, and you want to reserve time slots of the rooms. And once they're taken, nobody else can have them. And what happens when you reserve the room? Oh, an email gets sent out to everybody else saying that that room is reserved for. Well, long are the days of that, because now you use ECA, Event Condition Action, which works really well in Drupal 10. You can use it for a lot of different scenarios, but it's also going to be kind of action-based. After a user logs in or a new user is created, send the admin an email and say, hey, you can have it track all sorts of information. But as a Drupal site builder, you'll probably be working with ECA in Drupal 10. Social API is a big suite of modules, and Social API has multiple sections. We're mainly going to talk about social auth, but there's also social post. So in Social API, it's just a suite for all of these social media modules. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Should we really have a Drupal module that for social authentication for Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter? Or should we have the social auth sub-modules such as social auth Google? And that's what we have here. And this project is actually near and dear to my heart because this was really pushed off by the Google Summer of Code. I ran that program for Drupal. Google Summer of Code is Google pays university students to work on open source projects. They used to get paid $5,500 per project. And for many summers, there's GVSO. He's probably one of my favorite students. He came in and he's built social API, then social auth and social auth Google. And that was back in Drupal 8. Now we have it Drupal 9.10. And there's already, you can authenticate users in Drupal 10 with this. Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Zoho, they already all work in Drupal 10. So if you're going to do SSO, a single sign-on solution, even with something that's custom or it's Active Directory, you don't need to start from scratch with your module. Start with the social auth module because it already has all the pieces you'd need. And you literally just customize it to your application to get your your user authentication system going. Searching. Drupal core has a basic search option, and a lot of people had a lot of different modules for Solar. Solar was the heavy lifting of searching. Say you're a public library and you had lots of records and your searching needed to be very fast. So you had these really elaborate indexes that Solar would create. You can do all of that. But now in Drupal 10, you don't need to have 10 different modules for all these different Apache Solar Facet, Apache Solar Index, whatever. It's all just part of the search API now, which works in Drupal 10. And you can integrate Apache Solar with the Solar API. And related to that, you have the Facets module. So Facets are like those checkboxes you see on a search option. Maybe I like to use the Zappos shoe option. When you go shopping for shoes, you have size, color, style, and those are little checkboxes you can check out. Those are known as facets. And now you can just turn on the facets module. You can then add that onto Drupal core if you want. But in reality, you're probably going to use the search API with facets for your searching functionalities in Drupal 10. VBO, views bulk operation, does work in Drupal 10. There's a lot of things that you can be doing if you just want to process data. You're managing a lot of PDF files. It's there, work in Drupal 10. Views data export. This is a fun one. So say you did create a really elaborate view and you got it just right and it lists everything in perfect order, and then you want to export that as, say, maybe a CSV file. You can do that in Drupal 10 with views data export. It actually already works in Drupal 10. You can export as a basic text file or XML if you'd like as well. The address fields. So this one is not in Drupal core, but it's pretty common functionality. So let's say you wanted to add fields to a content type for things like addresses, city, state, zip. That's all provided in there. It is dependent on the Commerce Guy's addressing module. That's for e-commerce, but they've done a lot of things where that built in. It knows about different zip codes in different cities. It knows different counties in different states. So it's a lot of information that will comes with this module. It's just not in core. You actually have to add the address module. Conditional Fields is available in Drupal 10. And what does Conditional Fields do? So say you're adding a bunch of fields, or you're having a survey with questions you're filling out. They can be dependent on it. If you ask question A, maybe question C doesn't appear unless you select question B. And if you do select B, then C appears. A common would be the other option. Where did you find this job? LinkedIn, Indeed, other. If you click the other option, well, another field might come in where you can actually type it in. I use conditional fields a lot. OpenAI, ChatGPT. I mean, it's July in 2023. If we went to a tech event without talking about OpenAI or ChatGPT, we'd be missing something. And it works in Drupal 10. There's actually a collection of modules. There's just the overall OpenAI module. Then there's the ChatGPT content assistant. And Drupal 10 out of the box is very good at managing multiple languages, but it will not translate content for you. You still have to hire another third party or a person to do your translations. But now you can add these OpenAI ChatGPT modules straight into Drupal. You can add the OpenAI WYSIWYG button while you're creating content, and you can say, highlight content, translate to French, translate to German. And I'm not great at translating, but from what I've played around with, it's fairly impressive and fairly accurate. And if you have not created a ChatGPT account, do it. Go to openai.com, create your free account, go in there. And it's not going to create Drupal websites for you, but it can answer a lot of questions about Drupal and things like that for you. Creating a list of Drupal modules. I've created a long list of Drupal modules, and then I gave it to ChatGPT and said, go get me the Drupal.org URL for this. And is this module available in Drupal 10? And all sorts of questions you can ask it. Chaos Tools, C-Tools is there. A lot of this stuff is getting moved into Drupal core, but it's still there. Clam AV. This is an interesting one. A lot of people probably don't know what this is, but this is an antivirus program that always has a new release with the new versions of Drupal. So say you're a township and you're uploading PDF files of meeting minutes. And these meeting minutes can be uploaded from anybody in the township with the computer. And that PDF is going to get uploaded into our Drupal database. But what if that PDF caught a virus and it affects our Drupal website? Well, you sign up for Clam AV. They're another service, the antivirus solution. But then they give you an API key and you can turn it on with your Drupal site. So anytime somebody uploads a file, it'll get scanned through Clam AV first, and then it's safe on your server. Again, just things that you might be installed on every one of your sites, but they're definitely ready in Drupal 10. Field group. Maybe you have all these fields and you want to group them together. It works perfectly in Drupal 10. IMCE. I would recommend using the media module to upload PDFs and everything, but the IMCA module or button that you can add onto your WYSIWYG. And IMCE essentially gives you a file browser where you can upload files directly into there. You can find them, help you search other previously uploaded files. But then again, that's where your Clam AV is going to come into handy. If you're actually going to let people use this IMCE, I would not recommend using this for a brand new Drupal 10 site. I would use the media modules that are built into Drupal core, but that's not going to be the scenario of everybody in Drupal 10. A lot of people taking on Drupal 10 are not building brand new websites. They're taking over Drupal 7 sites that already does have this IMCE window, and that's how their users are used to managing media and images. So you'll have to look at that during your discovery phases and realize, should we keep this IMCE stuff going in Drupal 10 just to launch the Drupal 10 site, or are we going to migrate this stuff into media, which should be your ultimate goal, but not necessary. Libraries API module is there. Just a module to help you organize your libraries, because Drupal does a pretty good job of integrating with libraries. You used to have to add the CK editor library to Drupal. Well, now it's built in, and some modules need to utilize the same library over and over. So this gives you some configuration options to expose these to multiple libraries and never running into some problems. The mail system module works in Drupal 10. So you can turn this on in there and say you want to send mail to users, but you want some configuration options of what it should look like and how the content of the email should be structured. This essentially gives you like an email client system into Drupal. Reroute email. So say you are sending out emails on your website and there's a lot of notifications. You built an Indeed clone, but you have dev, staging, production. You can turn this reroute email thing on there, module functionality, so that when you are on dev, staging, or anything but production, anytime there's an email sent out, it gets rerouted to a generic email. So that way, when you're on dev, staging, whatever, somebody does an action that fires off an email, and even though you have email turned off, it somehow got out there, it will get rerouted to a generic dev account, not somebody out in production getting a development email. Recently read, you can see if users are logging in and looking at at nodes or messages they may have received. Again, these are just common modules that actually work in Drupal 10. Any questions? Because we could go on a lot about this for a while. Reminder, after party, if you're all here, Acquia, Improper City, that's where we're all going. But we can open up the stage for questions. Is there any remote questions, Matt? No. Is there anything from anybody here? So let's review a bit. We basically just went over 45 plus modules in 45 minutes that already work in Drupal 10. A lot of people that are going to be starting Drupal 10 projects are not going to be brand new projects. That might happen, but it's rare. It's more than likely that you're going to be building an existing project, an existing Drupal site. And a very popular comment, if you're in the RFP proposal pages processes, ask them, what are the core modules you have? What are the contributed modules you have? Create a list of them in a spreadsheet and start looking at them. This is a process I've been doing a lot over the last several months. A really popular site I was working on, they had about 80 contributed modules, and I did the audit. Only 72 of them were not available. So as you ask yourself, is Drupal 10 ready for this? Can I go into these big migration projects? The answer is pretty much yes. XML sitemap, meta tags, all those really basic modules you're going to put onto every site anyways, they're there. Turn them on. If you have a Drupal product and you're trying to get your product ready for Drupal 10, all those modules are there. The things you should be really worried about is the new design, your new front end. They're probably going to want to go decoupled, and your migration of all your content. So that's about it for me. No questions. I recommend going to Pantheon, create your free Drupal website, and start downloading modules and playing with them. And if you don't want to wait for a full Pantheon site, you can go to simplytest.me. You will have a website created in a matter of minutes where you can just instantly start downloading all of these Drupal 10 modules and have some fun, because I know I did. And it's exciting to see Drupal 10. If you've been working with Drupal for a while, with new versions of Drupal, there's usually a lag before people actually start building their projects. The community catches up. Drupal 10 was released in December. We're now more than several months later. Now is the time to start building Drupal 10 sites. And good luck. Thank you.